How you doing?
Doing well. Actually a bit ill. I have a small cold, so that's not too bad. But I'm feeling good. I had a great November, business wise. So pushing it in December, hopefully able to reach new heights in the new year.
Fantastic, bro. I'm so proud of you. I was actually just listening back to our call from last year, and this must have been an absolute whirlwind for you to have gone from where you were then to where you are now. And obviously, you know what's going to happen next year. It's going to be even more progress, bigger and better things.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, it's crazy to see the change that I've gone through in the last year.
beautiful.
It's really insane.
Well, perhaps on that note, let's kind of dive into things. Let's start off with that. In terms of the change, obviously there's so many different things that are involved in this, right? It's the way that you think, it's the way that you relate to yourself, it's obviously the finances side of things as well. But what would you say are like the top three things that have changed for you and how the product has helped you to progress in life?
I think the number one thing that has really helped me is the people I met in the group. Um, I have met a lot of great people and met a lot of great friends as well. And being able to, contact them and being able to talk to them and share ideas and thoughts and stuff, that has really helped me. I think without their help and their view on things, I wouldn't have able to push it this far. So I'm very thankful for the people I met in the community. I think the second thing that has contributed is obviously the mindset modules. That has really opened my eyes and allowed me to really see how things are, and improve my consciousness. And based on everything that I learned, I started seeking for more and more information on the internet, and that really helped me broaden the horizon even more. So, and I think like the Loom Alchemy part of things, that's really like my main acquisition method in my agency is Loom Alchemy. And thanks to Eric Cavallars who showed the like with the Merga setup, I've been able to automate the entire process. So I have a VA doing everything for me. She records the looms, she sends the looms, and I don't have to do anything. And I acquire 3, 4 clients every single month without having to worry about outreach. I just do sales and fulfillment, and that's it.
It's a good life, isn't it? I'm in obviously in the same position on the sales side of things. It's a beautiful thing just waking up and seeing those appointments booked into your calendar. And it's really interesting. I think the time when you came on board with us, the main thing, and to an extent, I think people still believe that the main thing that we have in our repertoire is just client acquisition. We don't touch on service delivery or anything like that. But the
Yeah.
appointment booking systems are powerful. Um, I just want to loop back to these other points as well because I think it's interesting. A lot of the time when I'm kind of pitching the product to people, and I think it was the same thing for you when you came to the table, everybody always wants to have more appointments, right? And we
Yeah.
can easily make that happen. But the mindset piece is so important. And I've seen this time and time again, especially when you're on that road to becoming successful, learning how to think better and knowing how to analyze and not get stuck in analysis paralysis is huge. So
Yeah.
that's absolutely fantastic. In terms of kind of some of the bottlenecks within the business beyond the appointment booking side of things, how do you feel like the product has helped you to resolve that?
Um, well, when I started with the Imperium program, I obviously started with the original program, and then I believe in January or February, EasyGrow was launched. I started my agency when I already had my agency some like a little bit, but I wasn't really I literally didn't know what the hell I was doing, before I started with the Imperium program. So obviously when you start out with all the outreach strategies, everything is new, so you need to learn a lot. So back in April, I had this huge deliverability issue. Like I couldn't send any emails for like 2 months, and I didn't close any clients, and it was horrible. It was so extremely painful to go through that. But thanks to the people I met, a very good friend of mine, Riemann, I met him like in the first few days of joining the Imperium program. He was very good at solving these kind of issues because he was already an entrepreneur for many years. He came from drop shipping, was very successful there, and wanted to start his own agency because he learned so much about advertising on Google and Facebook because he was doing these things for his drop shipping business. So he was able to help me a lot, and also the coaching calls as well with Charlie and Bo back then. There only had two coaching calls, and now I believe we have like 30 a week.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, so those two things were very helpful, and yeah, just the feedback from the group, being able to when you have a problem, being able to ask it immediately and also get an answer immediately. Because I believe when you're starting out, you just need someone that looks over your shoulder, because sometimes it's just not. You cannot just do everything on your own. You need people around you that have walked the walk that you're trying to walk. Um, that can help you and guide you into the right direction. Because literally before I started Imperium, I didn't know what I was doing. Like literally no idea what I was doing. I was building a website, and I was building a onboarding page, and I was writing all these kind of scripts, and all these time wasting BS stuff where you should be just focusing on acquisition and you know yeah.
Makes sense. That makes sense. So you said when you first started off that before you joined us, you already had an agency of sorts in place. How much were you making per month at that point in time?
Nothing. Zero.
Okay, and how much are you making per month now?
13K.
13K. Okay, and what is that like for you? How old are you at the moment, Tycho?
I turned 24 4 days ago.
24. Okay, so what is that like for you being 24, making 13K per month? And just to add on to this question as well, and this kind of supports everything that you've been talking about with the community, right?
Mhm.
Because I've seen this myself with my own progression, but also I've seen this time and time and time again for people in your position. It can be very lonely, right? When you're stepping out of that traditional path, you're stepping away from 9 to 5, all of that type of stuff, and you're looking for your tribe. You're looking for people who are like you. And I think that's where
Yeah.
the community is really useful because everyone's like minded. But how has that been for you? And also, I think I remember we even had a conversation with your mum about
Yeah.
getting you started and, you know, giving her the confidence that this was going to be the right step. What's her
Yeah.
perception on things now as well?
To start with myself, I hit 10K a month, and it was like it was emotional for like a few minutes, but then obviously you always, when you're making zero per month, it's always like when you reach a certain goal, that's when things become different. But things haven't changed much. It's like I'm still the same guy. I'm still making the same, I'm still doing the same every day. I'm just building my agency and working. I still am living the same life, but then with like a fully stacked bank account. So it feels great, not to have to worry about my income. It's awesome because I know that with the trajectory I'm going on, I'll be making way more even in the coming year, and but I feel like it's more of for me, it's more of the journey. I really enjoy just the work and improving myself. Before I started out, like literally a year ago, um, I just quit I just quit uni. I just didn't want to continue. I wanted to fully focus on my agency because I was like, if I'm going to do this, it needs 100% of my attention and my focus, and it cannot be shattered, and uni takes a lot of my time. So I was like, I need to remove that. I also moved back to my parents or to my mom. I was living in another city with friends. We lived in a student house with 10 boys. You obviously a lot of parties and stuff. And I was like, this is not the life I want to live. I don't want to be in college. I just don't want this. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to care for myself and and the people around me. And um, with the life I'm living right now, I'm not going to be able to pull this off. So I need to make a lot of changes in my life. So I moved back, quit uni, and obviously I moved back to my my room with my mom. So that's very lonely. Um, but it allowed me to fully focus on my agency, and yeah, I don't have any regrets. So to answer the question, um, nothing really changed. but I just really love the work. It's the if I yeah like a year ago. I didn't do any form of exercise. I smoked. I was living like this unhealthy lifestyle, and a year later, I'm on the 24th, no, the 14th of January, I'm going to run half a marathon. So that's really exciting. Also a bit scary, but very exciting. I haven't smoked a cigarette in over 10 months, or almost 11 months. My mom quit as well. She quit like exactly a year ago, so I'm very proud of her about that. And I quit all the bad habits in order for me to grow as a person, be able to pull this off, because I believe if you don't change as a person, you're not going to be able to make more money. It's like impossible.
And this is huge, right? Because I think this is one of the key takeaways that you get from the mindset module is you realize that the version of yourself that you are is just not capable of doing the things that you want to accomplish. And
Yeah.
so kind of diving into that piece, there is a lot of sacrifice that is involved, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to put things on the back burner, going out partying, all of that type of stuff to accomplish your goals. What was the aha moment for you? Was it actually just making the commitment, making the payment where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this? Or was it getting into the product, seeing Jesus Christ, this is working for a lot of people? Like, if I really do this, if I really apply myself, I'm going to change my life. What was the moment where you had that shift and you were like, I'm going all in on this. I'm going to make sure that I'm successful.
I think the aha moment was way before I joined Imperium. Because I was living in I've lived in Rotterdam in this house with the nine other boys for like 2 years, and like 1.5 years into it, I was like, I'm how I described it to myself was like I'm sitting in this train who is going very fast into a direction I do not want to arrive at, which is continuing living here for another 3 years, partying, drinking, and going out, living this student life for another 3 years, finishing my uni, and then, start a job. And I knew for a fact that that wasn't the life I wanted to live. And I knew this for a very long time, but I was always like, you know, I'll 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 make it work. But I wasn't making it work. So I knew that I had to change something. So I was like, okay, where do I need to make changes? And the first thing is where I'm living. So I need to move away from this place. And I knew that I wanted to start an agency because, and I think most agency owners start like this, is I saw like the Iman Geji videos and I was like, dude, damn, this business model makes sense. This is something I can pull off. I want to do this as well. And I was always very intrigued and passionate about building websites and creating stuff and trying to sell things. I was never really successful, but I was always busy doing things, um as a hobby because I just really enjoyed it. I always knew I wanted to become an entrepreneur since I was like 16. So I was like, okay, I need to move away. And I think that was for me I felt this so strongly in my like it was a very strong gut feeling that I had to move away there. I really needed to switch places and move back to my mom in order to be able to I need to go back to the basics in order to build up from there. And then I quit uni and then I was like, this Imperium thing, I've seen a lot of videos about Charlie. He's very different from all the other videos that I'm watching. The way he teaches things, the way he explains. I trust this guy. I think he's legit and he's actually capable of helping me pull this off. And I was like, why not just give it a shot? And yeah, I haven't had any um how do I say this? Regrets? Yeah, I don't have any regrets of all those decisions I made back then. Moving away, quitting uni, and joining Imperium. Those were like very big decisions last year, but very fruitful.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's loop back to that. Because obviously we had our call. I think we had two calls. Maybe we had three calls to get you started. I think it was two.
Yeah.
Um, if I remember correctly, at that point in time, on the finances side for you to get started was difficult, right? And so this is for me, obviously working on the sales side of things, like I really understand how much trust you're putting into us, you're putting into me, you're putting into the other sales reps when it comes to actually stepping on board. Can you kind of just walk me through some, if you remember, some of the emotions that you had when you were on the call? And what was it that kind of got you to the point where you were like, okay, even though this is going to be a massive outlay for me at this point in time, this is something that I have to do. Like it's important for me to get uncomfortable right now so that I can be comfortable in the future.
Yeah, I think the biggest feeling was, like already said, is with all my previous endeavors, I've never really been successful. Like in terms of, I never made money with anything I did. Before I started my agency, I was like heavily focused and invested in NFTs, not in terms of like heavily invested in terms of money, but like all my focus was on, obviously besides my uni, was like NFTs. I wanted to learn these NFTs because I saw people making shitload of money. I wanted the same. And before I was into NFTs, I was building my own drop shipping business. And none of these were any, with NFTs was my first time making a little money. I did some good trades and then I lost everything again on some bad trades, how things go. So at the end of the day, I ended up with zero. And I was just so fed up with putting all my time and effort into something without seeing any results. I've gone through it for many, many years, putting my all in it, putting in putting in so many hours without actually seeing a return in terms of, money, because that was obviously what I wanted. I wanted to make money, but I wasn't making money, and I was just this broke kid trying to figure it out. And I was like, I need to do this because I'm so fed up with not having results. And I was so afraid that if I would continue on my own, I moved back, I was living with my mom, I moved away from all my friends, I quit uni. It was like, I have no choice. I need to do this
Mm.
because if I don't do this, I'll probably end up with zero results again. And all the sacrifices I've made until now are, for nothing. And I was also like, it was, I quit uni, and uni is like, in the Netherlands, it's quite cheap if you compare it to other countries. It's like 2,000 euros per year. And it was like, okay, I have two options. I can either put 2,000 euros per year in uni, or I can put the same amount of money in the Imperium program. And I was like, that's a no-brainer for me because I'm definitely not going to put it into uni. So I have this money that I was going to invest, but now I'm going to invest it in something else where I feel like it's going to have a way greater return on investment.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's so interesting for me as well. And obviously, I'm probably one of the biggest advocates for the product other than Charlie and Bo. But
Hmm.
I look at the traditional uh, college route, traditional uni path, and I feel like it's so broken, right?
Hmm.
Because you spend a lot, other than probably countries like the Netherlands, you spend so much in going to university. You spend so much time, 3 years, 4 years, and then you're not even guaranteed anything on the back end. And
Yeah.
so I think this is why we've always structured things in a way where it's like, if you apply yourself, if you do the work, like we will assure you you're going to get
Mhm.
those results that you want on the back end.
Yeah.
With all of this in mind, though, let's say, and the reason why I'm bringing this to the table is because I actually had a sales call with somebody yesterday, and they actually had come to us last year to get started, maybe like a month or so after you, and they decided not to move forward to them. Same situation, needed to speak to their parents about getting started, all of this different type of stuff, and they didn't pull the trigger, and they are still in the exact same situation now. For you, what do you think life would have looked like if you hadn't made this decision? Where would you be now?
To be truly honest, I don't know, man. I think like the situation where I'm in terms of investment, I like income, way, way, way less. Like I think maybe I would have had one or two clients, but I don't think I would. have seen any form of success because I didn't know what I was doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's just not going to work. As I said, I believe that yeah, it's just when you're trying to pull something off, it's best to learn from someone or people that have already done it, and you're able to ask questions um immediately when the question arises. When you have a difficulty, you're able to contact someone. Hey, dude, how does this work? Or how have you solved this issue? Or these type of things, because obviously when you're running an agency, it's not the same as going to college. But in college, you also have difficulties. You have things you don't know. You know, you want to ask questions because you just don't understand what's written in the book, or I don't know. And the same is with an agency. When you're having major deliverability issues, or you're setting up your email system, most people don't know how that works. So, and when you get explained these things, it's just nice to be able to contact or join a call and say, hey, I have this question. Could you please help me? I think it's very necessary because people always think that entrepreneurship is something you do alone and you don't get help and this and that. But I believe like as an entrepreneur, you need help, you need guidance because no one has like Rome wasn't built by one person. As like it's also not built in one day. It's not built by one person. It's built by many, many people. And I believe the same is when you're building an agency, you just need help. You cannot just do it alone.
Yeah, and I really agree with this, especially being on the inside. I see people underestimate how much there is to learn over and over again. Like you take it from the beginning, picking out your niche to even defining your ideal client profile, and then how do you actually even do appointment booking? How do you go do cold calls? How do you go about structuring your scripts for sales? Like how do you actually go about handling? There's so much that's
Mm.
involved in this, and it's not a case that you can't do things by yourself. You can.
Yeah.
It will take years and years and years. Um, okay, cool. With with all of this in mind, then I guess Taisho, to I guess push and maybe wrap this up. If you if you were looking back at the version of yourself that you were a year ago or so, and you were kind of on the fence about whether to do this or whether not to do this, what
Mm.
would be the very, very best piece of advice that you could give to yourself at that point in time around making a big investment into yourself, as opposed to putting all of your money into Pepe coin and hoping that you get like a 50x or something like that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, what would be your advice for somebody who's exactly where you are, exactly where you were a year ago, and thinking about taking that step and taking massive action to actually change their life?
I think the biggest advice I would give is just take the risk because it's not that big of a risk eventually. Take the risk and the reward is way bigger than the risk, but know that it's going to be a very long and painful road. Don't think it's going to be easy. Don't think it's you're going to be rich within a few days after joining the program because you're not. It's going to be a freaking painful and long and difficult road. Um, I've went through a lot of shit and pain and discomfort and um all these negative things, but they have formed me into the person I am today. So it's really necessary to go through these things. Don't cut corners, go all in, and just give it your all. And that I think that's the biggest advice I could give someone because I don't think that pe most people are willing to go all in. And it's really, really necessary to go all in because if I would have, my initial plan was to do uni and this simultaneously, but that would have been impossible for me to maintain, like impossible. I spend 12 hours a day on my business since I joined Imperium. Obviously not every single day, but most days I work 10, 12 hours on my agency, and that's the only thing I do. I don't have any other things like uni or something. It's just me and my agency, and I'm working my ass off to fulfill on my clients, to, sales calls and stuff. But it's worth it. It's it's a hell of a fun game. Way more fun than any other thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it gives you
And
a
it's
massive sense of purpose, right? Like it gives
yeah,
your life meaning. And I think a lot of the time when, because I was the same in the past before I got to where I am now, um, I always used to look at work as a negative thing. But when you're actually winning and you're making progress, you want to keep playing the game and you want to play the game better and better. And I understand and I hear everything that you're talking about. And this is the reason why constantly we update the program to make life easier for you lot, bring in more coaches, bring in more consultants to make sure that you are successful. Um, Last question then. We're at December 2023. Obviously, New Year's resolutions and all of that type of stuff is just around the corner. What
Mhm.
are the goals for the coming year?
So I have a few goals. Like my financial goal is to hit 20K a month. That has always been the goal. So I'm a few K short of it. So I'll probably hit it somewhere in the first half of 2024. So that's exciting. Another goal of mine is to run a marathon. I'm obviously going to run half a marathon on the 14th of January. But like an actual marathon is quite hard. So I need to train a little more for that. Another goal of mine is to get my driver's license. Because I feel like it's the time is there, for me to finally get my driver's license and to move out again. Those are my four goals.
Nice man,
Move on to move into an apartment.
nice man. And I'm sure you can go out and buy yourself a nice car with all of the money that you have been making as well. Would be
Probably, yeah.
well, look, Taicho, bro, I really appreciate it, man. And again, as I said, I'm very, very proud of you, and I'm
Yep.
expecting bigger and better things as the years go by. The sky literally is the limit for you now. And I think the most empowering thing about all of this is if worst case scenario, like you were to pack it in or you everything were just to go to share, you have the knowledge.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
means that the journey for you forever, always moving forward, you're going to be successful. So, bro, well done. I appreciate you jumping onto this, and
Thank you so much.
I
Thank you
look
so
forward.
much,
I
Jack.
look forward to doing another one in like another year's time or so.
Yes, exactly. Looking forward. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.